Afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another Clue Time on my channel. When you see a clue, what do you say? Clue, please help me today. Now that doesn't work. Okay. Welcome to Clue Time, everybody. Now, it has been a very action-packed week this week. I have to say, I do think a lot of people in Group A on Mars Singer this week upped their game. So I am ready once again to get in and overanalyze every little clue, every little teeny tiny little tidbit that's been hidden away in there. I am just... No, my brain is slightly less fried than week one, thankfully, because once I get a solid base guess in there, I can put most of the clues that I found already onto that name and then carry it on to next week and hopefully find some more references to that person. If not, I can move on to somebody else that I've got in reserve. But it's just... honestly, I am glad that it gets less stressful as the weeks go on because, you know, it makes it hard to enjoy the performances in the first week when you can't really get a solid name in your head. So, yeah, I'm very, very happy with how this week turned out. And plus which, this week was a really, really fun week. I was nervous going back to Group A again because they obviously didn't have quite as high a level of singing talent as Group B did. But my God, they really raised the bar this week. Like, so many of them upped their game. So, yeah, I'm very, very happy. Very, very happy with Group A this week. I have all my clues here ready. I still find it weird that you guys can't see, but I think it's a bit boring if you guys are reading what I'm saying. So, yeah. I have a very weird way of taking my notes as well. I just write them as they sort of fall out of my head as if I'm saying them to myself. Which may mean that I'm a schizophrenic. I have absolutely no idea. But... oh, God, that sounds so bad. Anyways... but yeah, I just sort of write them down on paper and, yeah, I read them and I'm like, why the hell did you say that? Why the hell were you thinking that at this particular point in time? Also, fresh from the barbers. I love my high skin fade. My nan absolutely hates this haircut. But to that, I say this one word. Bollocks to that. It's my hair. I'll do what I want with it, thanks very much. I love my... Please don't take that out of context. I love my nan very much. But, yeah, nobody tells me what to do with my hair, okay? It's mine. Okay? Nobody wants to hear this. Anyways, Mars Singer Episode 3, beginning of Week 2, Part 1. So, this week was the week that I was most looking forward to, which was Circus Week. And I was a bit gutted that it was this week, because if one person from Group B is who I think they is... Who I think they is. Who I thinks they is. They must be that person. West Country. Yes, if they are who I think they are, I think that this would have suited them a whole lot better. But it's happened now. So, yes, let us move on. So, we had a great group number to open. I absolutely loved this group number. Joel in that tiger mask was absolutely fantastic. I've never heard this song before, but I've got to say, in terms of production value, I know I mentioned this in the original reaction. In terms of production value and like really getting the audience involved and like with the backup dancers and everything and just the overall aesthetic, this was without doubt one of the best group numbers that I think I've ever seen them do. So I was very, very proud of that. And then obviously, you know, we saw that we had Ollie Murs on the judging panel this week. I love Ollie. Honestly, much as I like Rita, she is my least favourite judge, and the way that she acts on the judging panel does piss me off, rather, and sometimes I do wish that they got somebody else for the judge. I swear to God, ever since Series 1, her brain has shrunk by about 50%. Like, she got so many correct guesses in the first series, and it's just reduced by so much. It's just, like, I swear to God, she's got worse. I don't know how, but she just has. So, yeah, I'm not looking forward to when she comes back later this year. That sounds so terrible, but she just pisses me off. She pisses me off so badly. But yeah, I loved seeing Ollie on the judging panel this week. He brought a lot of personality. Little bit of overconfidence here and there where I thought it wasn't necessary, because I'm like, how has he got that guess from like this person's stature or this person's clues? There is one particular person that I will say that I am flabbergasted that they haven't figured out who it is yet, just from the way that they're acting. So yeah, we'll get into that later. Anyways, kicking off the show, we had my favourite costume, which honestly I hated when I started this with my costume analysis, but now his performances are the ones that I look forward to every week now, and I hate that because I hated the costume, but it's grown on me. We had Dippy Egg to start off. Now, I want to talk about the performance first of all. Dippy Egg really upped his game this week. Like last week, he struggled with breath control and, you know, he couldn't get some of the notes out towards the end. He was struggling with the stage presence and everything. This week, fully got it under control. He even had a little bit of time for a little bit of voice moderation in there for certain like theatrical bits. And lots of acting in there as well. He did so much better this week, and I'm so glad that he made it through, because so many people the previous week were chastising him, saying like, "Oh, he's not a good singer. Why has he gone through over Dionne Warwick?" Again, firstly, Dionne Warwick can't sing like she used to, and she will get guessed very, very quickly because of how iconic she is. And two, Dippy Egg, you know, he doesn't have a bad voice. He just struggled with breath control, and he's proved that he has a better voice than people are giving him credit for this week. So I'm very, very happy that he's done that. Now, as far as the clues go, we still have the clues from last week, which is the fact that he lives on a farm. That carried over to this week. The zoo clue, the cake clue, and also, what was the other one that I took note of? Oh, yeah. The West Side Story clue could add into another guess that I had last week. Playing opera and singing, I'm still holding on to that as well. So obviously this is a very well-known actor who sings on the side. I look forward to seeing who it is without a doubt. But I do still think that Tony Audenshaw from Emmerdale is a good guess. But the Wellies, I get that clue. But the Strictly clue, I don't know whether that means whether that was just a joke and he hasn't been on Strictly, or whether this person has been featured on Strictly in some way. I have absolutely no idea. But I'm going to be hanging on to that clue without a doubt. But there's a very specific part of that clue that I paid attention to, and I think the judges should have paid a bit more attention to. But this is what pisses me off about doing this. The internet is so lackluster in, you know, getting, you know, facts about certain celebrities from certain British TV shows. Obviously, that means they're a lot better at keeping to them a little bit more private about their lives. But surely, you know, the internet is so good at, you know, finding out where people are currently residing and that. And for so many of the, like, British celebs, I get nothing. For the American celebs, it's so much easier, and I don't understand that. The only way that I found out that Tony Audenshaw does actually live on a farm in real life is because I watched Maskcast. I can't remember the guy who hosts it, but he had Claire Richards on, and they talked about the fact that he lives on a farm. So big shout out to them for that. Thanks a lot, guys. So yeah, I have absolutely no idea. The cake clue obviously could be a reference to the fact that he works in a cafe, along with the menu. The whole singing on the side thing, I talked about that, him being on Stars in Their Eyes. The zoo clue, there was an episode around the time that Bob and Viv's marriage started to fall apart, where he sort of went down to a zoo and ended up having a nervous breakdown. But the wellies are particularly bogging me, because it was the fact that there were two big pairs and one smaller pair. And that makes me think that this is somebody who has one child. Maybe I'm looking too much into that, I don't know. But it's the fact that there was one pair of wellies. And too many of my guesses this week have more than one kid. So it's messing with me, you know? They're messing with us, man. They're messing with us. But yeah, currently for me, Dippy Egg is definitely the most open-ended of all the people still. He is the one that I have not been able to pinpoint yet. But I'm hoping that with next week's clues, it'll get a bit better. But I mentioned when I did my reaction that I had a new name this week. I didn't want to reveal just in case Dippy Egg went out, because I knew that there might be a risk that he was in the bottom two. And he was, but he made it through. Very happy with that. The fact that they mentioned in interviews that there was a former doctor on the show, immediately my mind went to Doctor Who. And obviously that's understandable, because that's what they will talk about when they say former doctor. When I listen to the voice, immediately my mind goes to Christopher Eccleston now. There are only two doctors that I think could be on this show. It's definitely not Ncuti Gatwa, that's for sure. It's definitely not David Tennant, Matt Smith, or Peter Capaldi. There's only two people that I think this could be. Not Dippy Egg specifically. There's only two people that I think could be former Doctors that are on this show, and that's Christopher Eccleston and Jodie Whittaker. But none of the singing voices that I've heard in Group B match Jodie Whittaker, and I know who Maypole is, so it's definitely not Maypole. But I listen to this voice. I know Christopher Eccleston's voice so well from hearing him narrate Ambulance. I love Ambulance. It's an absolutely fantastic programme. He's narrated it since the second series, and it really sounds like his voice. He's got a really, really good voice. But all of a sudden, my mind just clicked. The cake clue. Eccles cake. Eccleston. And I was like, oh my god, how the fuck did I miss that? But if that's wrong, I am going to kick myself. But I don't see how the cake clue could link to Tony, because maybe that's another obscure fact that the internet's kept hidden, and that is only one thing that you will know about him if you really know him. But the zoo clue also lines up to Christopher Eccleston, because he has played a former British zoo owner who used to live in India, John Aspinall, who was known as Lord Lucan. If you don't know who Lord Lucan is, he was very infamous for his wife basically cheated on him and he tried to murder her. But he tried to do a sneak attack on her and take her out from behind with a hit on the head. But he actually took his maid out, because from behind, his wife and his maid looked very, very similar. They had very similar hair, and he didn't tell the difference. So, yeah, he ended up killing his maid, and then he just vanished off the face of the earth. He was never seen again. So, yeah. I haven't seen the drama, but it's rather intriguing me now. Now, the singing and opera clue. Christopher Eccleston does sing. He has done a few singles here and there. And the opera clue, he has played at the Royal Opera House. The West Side Story clue leans a little bit more into Tony Audenshaw, because the main character in West Side Story is called Tony. But could that be a misdirect? I have absolutely no idea. Now on to today's clues. It's interesting for me that he says don't mislay when talking about the farm. And he's talking about, you think I like the quiet life of the farm, don't mislay. That makes me... but the fact that it says don't mislay, that's a very, very particular word to use. So I'm a little bit struggling with that. But that makes me think somebody who lives on a farm and travels to the city a lot. Now, I did find a farm pic with a photo taken by a man named Chris Eccleston. I don't know if that's the same person or whether that's just an independent photographer who's taken a picture of a farm. I have absolutely no fucking idea. But I'm keeping it for now. Now, the football clue. I found out that Christopher Eccleston is a big fan of Man United. So, yeah. I did think that could be relating to somebody that's done Soccer Aid, but not sure about that. He said, I play day and night. That could mention the fact that he's been in multiple different plays. Don't know if that directly leads to somebody who works day and night. I'm not sure. I also did see, apparently, I don't know about this. I think what I found out was that Christopher Eccleston has played John Lennon in a documentary called Lennon Naked. It's like a docudrama series exposing like certain aspects of John Lennon's life, and that could be a reference to A Hard Day's Night, but that could be a bit of a stretch. The clue about birdsong at sunrise. Now, I found that if it is Christopher Eccleston, that could be twofold. He starred in a Channel 4 drama called Murmuration. If anybody doesn't know what that word is, that is the name given to a flock of starlings. If you've ever seen a murmuration of starlings, it's fucking amazing. That's what they do whenever they come in to roost for the night. And if you go to Rome, you'll see about 5 million of them just swirling around the city. It's so incredible. But it's basically where two neighbours bond, who have suffered like really bad losses. They bond over the birds that fly over their houses. So I think that's pretty cool. And the sunrise part, he was on an album called The Blue Album, where one of the songs featured narration from him. It didn't feature the name Sunrise, but one of the tracks was called One Perfect Sunrise. So, again, could be a bit of a stretch, but it's there. We all know what the Masked Singer is like with the clues. It could go anywhere. And the Wellington boots did throw me a little bit, again, as I said, but the Strictly clue. Again, I don't know if I should be running with that, but suddenly I thought, maybe it's not somebody who's been on Strictly. Maybe that could be a reference to the fact that Doctor Who has been featured on Strictly quite a few times now. And I did see Christopher Eccleston actually did give his personal seal of approval to Tyler and Diane when they did their Doctor Who themed tango for Centennial Week on Strictly. Still think that was a bad theme idea, BBC. Please never do that again. The voting clue, not entirely sure if ITV would allow this, but he's been very vocal in his opinions against the Tories, and that could be a reference to that. The high-low thing, no idea what that reference is. I looked up previous Play Your Cards Right presenters, got nowhere. It's none of those people. Now, the hardest bit for me was the clue or false clue, because the clown clue could be correct, but because there is an episode of Doctor Who which featured a circus, but that was the 7th Doctor, so that's probably not true. But I did find that in an episode of a TV series called The Leftovers, that Christopher Eccleston was in, there's a scene where he gets into a lift with a clown. Again, very, very minor, but Masked Singer are very, very good at picking up these minor details. However, I do think that the catwalk clue is a little bit more likely here, because Tony Audenshaw has modelled before, but also Christopher Eccleston has performed A Christmas Carol on a stage that was built like a catwalk. So I think it's really, really tight between Tony Audenshaw and Christopher Eccleston at this point. But there was one more name that I did have stuck in the bank, because all of the talks about, brekkie being the most important meal of the day made me think morning presenter, and that led me to somebody who does only have one child from the show Morning Live, Dr. Zand. He is a big patron of Sir Michael Morpurgo's farm, which raises money for quite a lot of charitable causes. He hosts Morning Live on ITV with multiple different Strictly alumni, be it previous dancers like Jeanette Manrara, or celebrities that have been on the show like Kimberly Walsh, Gethin Jones and Rav Wilding. On the show that he does with his brother, Operation Ouch, they cover multiple injuries, including football injuries, and the cake clue could be a reference to the fact that they have made special Operation Ouch cakes for certain hospital patients, but again, don't know if that's relevant. Struggled a bit with the zoo clue, so I just sort of brushed that off. The opera clue, apparently he did try and sing opera on Operation Ouch, so that was an interesting find. But yeah, I just don't know if it's a proper link-up yet. I have absolutely no idea, what's a proper link-up, who all the clues could fit for. I couldn't really find any football references for Tony Audenshaw, or whether there were any football clues that related directly to Emmerdale. I just don't know. But these are the guesses that I've got, and I'm happy with them for now, so I'm sticking with them. Now, Maypole. Now, me and my mate, who love to solve the clues together, we messaged each other after the show, and he sent me a text that was literally littered with sarcasm, and he was like, I'm completely in the dark about Maypole, and I was like, yeah, me too, I've got absolutely no idea who this could be. We were blatantly lying to each other. We know exactly who this is now. This is Melody Thornton. Again, without a doubt. The clues this week, they were too easy. They were too easy for me. Firstly, Maypole says that this isn't her first rodeo. Of course it isn't, because she did The Masked Singer in Australia, and she won it. Surviving an Island, she's done the Celebrity Island with Bear Grylls. Finding a Match could be a reference to the fact that she had a few romance rumours going around with her and her partner on Dancing on Ice, but who am I to judge? Now, the 3 place names interest me. Glasgow, Shanghai, and Manchester. Those are not usually 3 different places that you see in the same sort of... written on the same page. But I found out the Bodyguard not only toured the UK, it also toured a few different cities in China as well. I was shocked. It must be really, really popular over there. And then I remembered Manchester was the production of The Bodyguard that unfortunately got ruined by a stage invader. So yeah, I felt so bad for Melody when that happened. I wasn't there, but I found out about it and I was like, really? Really? You can't just let people enjoy their light entertainment. Let them just have a bit of escapism once in a while. It's what we need. Yeah, Melody dealt with it like the professional that she is, bless her heart. But yeah, she didn't deserve that. Almost chose a different field. Could be a reference to being with the band or the fact that she studied musical engineering. But she was only in that for about a year, so I don't really think that part's relevant. The subtlest clue of all was the Victoria Sponge. If you look closely, it's in 6 slices. 6 members of Pussycat Dolls. I looked at that and I thought, that's clever. That is very, very clever. The return to sender clue with the heart on it is a clue to her single Love Will Return. And the clue or false clue, the one that is correct, I think, is the Grin and Bear It clue, which is another reference to Bear Grylls. I thought the Spanish clue might be correct because I know that Melody has Spanish blood, but she doesn't actually speak Spanish. So, yeah, I tossed that one aside. But for me, Maypole is the easiest one to get, without a doubt. I know my girl. You know, she's been on this show before, she's done it before, and I can't wait to see her unmasked. If she... I hope that she breaks out the whistle notes at some point, though, but I'm a bit worried because she sound a little bit hoarse at the moment. But, yeah, we'll see how we go. Anyways, Bigfoot. Again, I'm pretty certain I know who this is now, because I looked at his hands and the way that he's moving them. Yeah, it's very clear who this is now. This is Alex Brooker, without a doubt. And, you know, looking at that now, the survivalness of all the clues in the wilderness last week, and, you know, the sort of, the bit with the waterfall and the sitting on the rocks and that, that's a very, very clear reference to the I'm a Celebrity camp. The fact that he says he's got a whole host of friends most likely relates to all of his mates on the last leg. I don't know. I didn't have a look at what the Beatles clue meant for him, though, so I'll go back and have a little look at that later. I did find out what his rhyme meant, though, which was the Sporting Rhinoceros clue. He signed up for a disabled rugby league team called the Leeds Rhinos. So, good on you, Alex. The fact that he said done on the first take, clearly Bigfoot works in TV a lot. The Lego Cup, he spent a night in Legoland on a TV show called One Night In, ... It's like one night in a certain place. And he did that with Josh Widdicombe and the Richardsons. So that must be quite an interesting night. The Hogwarts clue, I wasn't sure about that one, but I did find out that he's quite a regular visitor to the village of Laycock, which if you guys have seen like all the courtyard scenes from Harry Potter, the Abbey in Laycock is where those scenes will have been filmed. So yeah, very, very nice. I noticed that the cowboy boots, he was taking the Spurs off them and throwing them away. That's because he's an Arsenal supporter and Spurs are Arsenal's biggest rivals. He talks about not being perfect. Obviously, that's a very, very clear disability reference. Love him for that. I don't know his shoe size. He says act your age, not the shoe size, unless your feet are as big as mine. Don't know his actual shoe size. And then the dog on stage, very good clue there. He voiced, I think it was Diesel, I think his character's name was. Diesel the dog in a series called Dog Squad. So yeah, those are all the clues there to note. And I think the clue or false clue that was correct was the Vossi Bop clue, because Stormzy has appeared on the last leg. And the episode for some reason was called When Stormzy Was Burgled. I have absolutely no idea why that is, and please don't ask me in the comments. I don't watch The Last Leg, so I have no intention of finding out why that was. Jesus Christ. Anyways, next up. The person that I think gave the best performance of the night, Cricket. Now, I didn't even know Bastille had done their own version of the night. And when I heard this, it was absolutely fantastic. Cricket has got an astounding voice. You know, it's got that sort of huskiness at the back, you know, and he's really laying heavy into that Caribbean accent for now. I don't know if he's going to let that go later on, but yeah, it definitely suits him. It's not a stupid accent like Catherine Ryan was doing last week, where she was overdoing it. Oh god, I still remember when she was singing Cheryl. She said "crash," and I was like, people who are Cockney don't say that, Catherine, for God's sake. It was sort of alternating between Cockney and posh. It was terrible. Anyways, Cricket. Jesus Christ. Right. Cricket, for me, is this year's Phoenix. The clues are there. I'm just not seeing them. Definitely not last week, anyway. This week it was a little bit easier. But yeah, I'm still struggling with some of these clues. I still think a lot of people are going with Lamar, but there's a few clues in here that don't point to a solo artist. So I am still going with Simon Webb from Blue. The reputation thing could be a reference to the fact that Simon, since becoming a solo artist, has also become a DJ and made quite a lot of TV appearances. So that could be what that means. I don't know whether he's had a bit of a bad boy rep. I don't know exactly what he means by that. But yeah, he's a boy bander. What do you expect? The clue with the sandwiches, that was very, very subtle. And I like that one. 5 different fillings. Now, there was a very similar clue with Fawn last year with the 5 sugars in the coffee. And basically how that related was, overall, there have been 5 members of All Saints. Because Simone Rainford was the original member who got together with Shaznay Lewis and Melanie Blatt. But that format of the band didn't work out because Simone had very different ideals, and she ended up leaving and going solo and forming a different band after that, and before she passed away. Bless her heart. And then the Appleton sisters came in later. What this is a reference to is the fact that originally Will Young, I had no idea about this. Will Young was actually supposed to become a member of a boy band with Anthony Costa and Lee Ryan, but it never took off. And then Simon and Duncan came in a lot later. So I'm very chuffed that I discovered that. That's a very, very good clue. The prescription could be a reference to the fact that Simon has unfortunately been suffering from sciatica recently. Don't know what TDF means. Couldn't figure that out. And I don't want to figure it out by going on flipping news articles. But yes, he mentioned, he said, competing, you Knowles. Now, they're very sneakily done this before, because with the Toffers clue last week, Phil Tufnell wasn't on the same series of Strictly as Simon, but he has been on Strictly, much like Nick Knowles hasn't been on the same series of I'm a Celeb as Simon, but he has been on I'm a Celeb. So, yeah, very, very subtle clues there. And he talks about winning as well. He's won quite a few Brit Awards as well, so I think that's the reference there. And as for the clue or false clue, I reckon that's, I think the correct one is the Big Mouse clue. Because when he said Big Mouse, my mind immediately went to Big Nasty. Look that up. Simon and Big Nasty are very good friends. So, yeah. I'll see you there, Simon. I'm very, very glad you're on this show, mate, because, yeah, after the year that his wife has had, she really needs some cheering up, and I think this is going to make her laugh a lot. So, yeah, happy to see him on this show. Now for the part that is going to bring me the most shame on today's episode of Clue Time. Going through the clues of Rat. I am still kicking myself that I did not get that this was Shirley Ballas. I have absolutely no idea how I did not get that this was Shirley Ballas. And yeah, I'm furious. I'm absolutely furious. But yeah, it's just it's hard to believe that I missed it this badly when I got Craig and Bruno on the Masked Dancer from like the minute they walked out on stage, because I know their mannerisms so well because they're my favourite judges. But Shirley is just, yeah, ugh. Yeah, it was. She was very, very well disguised by that rat costume, but I still can't believe I didn't get it from all the fact that she was doing choreo. Ugh. Anyways, I do still think that the clock clue was a tad far-fetched, because how you're supposed to get 15:15 from a blank clock, I have absolutely no idea. But yes, obviously the 3 name clue was a reference to the fact that Shirley's had 3 previous surnames. I don't know what the squeaky services one was about. The 1 of 4 clue, that was very, very well hidden. So yeah, very, very good. The Alan clue, she's very, very close with Alan Carr. They've done TikToks together, so yeah, I think that's... And that was a very, very good reference as well, the fact that Alan was written on like a handyman's or a painter's shirt, because obviously Alan does his TV show with Amanda Holden, The Italian Job. So, yeah, that very, very good reference to that. Regenerated could be a reference to the fact that she's changed careers from dancer to dance teacher and now to TV judge. This was a good clue. I don't know if you guys noticed, but she was walking by a window in that warehouse, and there was like an old wheel on the back wall. She's been on Michael McIntyre's The Wheel. So, very, very good clue hiding there, ITV. Stranger Things, that's been used as a reference on Strictly multiple times. The tattoos, obviously that's not a clue that you're going to get unless you really know Shirley. But my god, I cannot believe that she's had her butt tattooed. Oh god, out of all the places you want to tattoo, why the arse? I have absolutely no idea. I mean, I get that there's a lot of, open flesh there, but still. Jesus Christ. And I'm actually looking now at the whole DIY shtick of Rat. She's been on Taskmaster, so I think that's where the whole thing with that was going. Don't know what all the Scottish was about though. That was a real throw off. And also very, very subtle clue again with Flashdance playing in the background of her VTs. Another concept that has been used on Strictly multiple times. So, yes, clue or false, the correct one was, of course, the danger clue, because she climbed Kilimanjaro for comic relief. Now, I want to say now, I loved Rat as a character, but as far as singing goes, Shirley didn't have the best singing voice out of the rest of the group. She kind of, she does what a lot of people that I've seen who are slightly inexperienced singers do, which is speak singing, where they just sort of really overpronounce the words. So, yeah, it's not quite perfected singing there, but yeah, she did very, very well. I just can't believe that I was watching Shirley Ballas sing Nelly the Elephant on British TV. Only on The Masked Singer, right? That was just bonkers. But yeah, I fully think she deserved to go out this week, because where she sort of stayed on one level, Bigfoot really upped his game. I did kind of think that she might gain an edge in the bottom 2 when YNCA came on, until Dippy came out with Shotgun, and I was like, okay, bit more another crowd pleaser, but with a bit more singing to it. So yeah, he's definitely got more of an edge there. But yes, finally, the clue that I wanted to look at was "It's not me, it's you." Now these are always hard. I've always struggled with these. But the power to influence change clue, I actually think that's a reference to Shirley, because she gets the deciding... Hello, Pebbles. Do you mind? Excuse her, ladies and gentlemen. I thought I'd closed that door well enough, Pebbles. But yes, anyways, I think that's a reference to the fact that Shirley always gets the deciding vote on Strictly. So if that means that keep talking is for Dippy Egg, that could mean maybe acting, or theatre acting or something like that. If something goes wrong in maybe a play or somebody forgets their lines, you got to keep talking. You got to keep the show going. I've been in plays. It is fucking hard. Like at the end of the play that I was in, I'm not going to say which one it was because I don't want to spoil it, but there was like this really, really long sequence where one of the characters has like such a long set of dialogue. She very rarely got it right, all the way through, but she did her damnedest to do it. It's amateur theatre. What do you expect? But yes, that is it for Clue Time this week, ladies and gentlemen. Those are all the guesses that I have for all of these people. Now, yeah, I'm just all over the place, but I'm happy that I've got a few more set ideas of who people are now, and yeah, I can relax a little bit more and just enjoy the clues as they come to me now. And I'll keep putting them in because I know I know that you got some of you out there anyway do like these videos. The thing is, I want to make them a bit more interesting, but I'm not very good at editing, and I'm probably never going to be. So yeah, I'm just happy with how things are turning out at this point in time. Now, I don't know whether I'm going to be able to get an episode out when I'd like to next week, because on the Saturday I'm going to watch The King and I on the West End, but it is a matinee show, so I might be back home in time to record. And then on the Sunday I am going for the Strictly tour in Birmingham. It's come back again this year, so I'm very, very happy. But they always start in Birmingham as well. I never understand why, but I'm very happy because I'm actually staying in the same hotel as the Strictly Celebs, the Malmaison, so I'm looking forward to that. But yes, thank you so much everybody for joining me for another Clue Time. Please feel free to post your opinions down in the comment section below if you have any different guesses to mine, and I will contest them with all my might, because I'm desperately I'm clinging to these guesses so hard. I'm terrible. I'm absolutely terrible. I shouldn't be doing this. But yeah, thanks a lot, guys, and I'll see you for episode 4. School disco night, baby.